Well, I love that. I love that answer. Thank you so much for that. Let's take a look. Elder McConkey helps us here with something because we've talked a little bit about the what of this early American Christian education. But we need to talk about a method that we use here at American Heritage School that comes all the way from Adam and Eve. And this has everything to do with this book of remembrance, this idea of recording what we learn. I see many who are taking notes right now and making a record. This is a godly thing. I love this quote by Elder McConkey, who said, let's see here. There we go. From the beginning. There's a different slide here and here. I'm so sorry. Oh, okay. Good.
This one, and you're good.
Oh, okay. Oh, wonderful, wonderful. When we appreciate it, so they can hear me. Wonderful. Well, friends who are afar, let me just say we so appreciate Mr. Anderson helping us with our technical opportunities for excitement today. We're very grateful to have you here listening in. I know that the whole class has been recorded, so anything that you may have missed, you can certainly hear by clicking on the recording for the class, which will be on our Canvas website, listed by the day that this course is happening. So we are so sorry that you weren't able to hear from us for a moment, but now you're with us, and we're so happy to have you. And we have a great conversation that we're a part of. Wonderful. Well, friends, this is the quote by Elder McConkey here, who said that from the beginning the Lord provided a language and gave men the power to read and write. The thing which they first wrote, and which of all their writings was the most worth unto them, was a book of remembrance, a book in which they recorded what the Lord had revealed about himself, about his coming, and about the plan of salvation, which plan would have force and validity because of his atonement. This was the beginning of the Holy Scriptures. This was more than a journal of personal events. This was more than Eve made a great lasagna tonight. This was the beginning of the Holy Scriptures. And so let me just ask you for a moment, what gifts have the Scriptures given to you as you have read from their pages and been grateful that someone bothered to keep a record of spiritual things? What gifts have the Scriptures given to you? Please, Mr. Crossley, and then Caitlin.
I was rereading Elder Adams' talk at the conference earlier this morning, and in it he quoted Job and talked about his testimony and the strength of his testimony, and how that his testimony of Jesus Christ, I know that my Redeemer liveth, and then his testimony of the resurrection was what carried him through all of those trials, and that really hit me as extremely significant. That our testimony of Jesus Christ is the one thing that will carry us through. And so I'm really grateful.
Thank you. Thank you for that beautiful comment. Please, Caitlin.
So just whenever I've been reading the Scriptures in seminary or even just by myself, it's been really interesting. I keep finding almost every other or every verse just pulling something straight, on forgiveness and things like that. But they really hit me for that day. And so I really think about the Scriptures as this huge treasure chest, but every time you open it, you get this new thing that it was there before, but you didn't realize it, and of its worth. And so just being able to have that every day, really put something new that makes me better. Is what I really love about the Scriptures.
Caitlin, thank you for that comment. Friends, just to sort of step back and see the forest from the trees for a moment. Right now, if we are in our mind's eye imagining this, we are in a home with Adam and Eve, and we're learning about how they taught their children in this first American Christian education. Can you reason some principles about early American Christian education from what we've talked about so far and what you've read about Adam and Eve? What would those principles of education be? Please, Caleb. And the microphone, I'm so sorry. Go ahead, say one more time, my friend.
So it was designed not just to teach, but to understand.
Oh, and tell me about the differences. You understand those. I love that.
I think a lot of times today, and I think that's not the case in this class, but we have people who, here's the class, here's the information, write it down, pass
Right.
the test, move on.
Yes.
But that's not how we're meant to learn. We're meant to actually understand and make changes in our lives.
Thank you for that. Love that. Love that. Anyone else? Other principles that you see at work here in this American Christian education? Mr. Crossley, then Mr. Anderson, please.
Well, you see education being passed on from one generation to the next.
Yes.
Directly from parents to children.
Yes. Love that. Love that. Please, Mr. Anderson.
So I love this principle of recording. I know that it says here that they recorded that which was of most worth unto them.
Yes.
And I think as we do that ourselves, there's a principle that the Lord can give us more. We are careful in revelations that we have. It seems to feed on itself.
Yes.
It seems to grow, like a seed almost. And anyway, I think that I know from personal experience, when I have recorded revelation, I see that as I read scripture, or as I have prayed,
Yes.
I have a little prayer journal for scriptures to journal. And those are rich experiences. Far more than just me kind of pondering. Sometimes that's a rich experience
Yes.
too. The writing helps.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm amazed at the number of times that Nephi mentions that he's keeping a record.
Yes. Thank you so much for that. I love that. Also, please, let's keep in mind what was the central textbook for this family, which will be, as you'll see, the central textbook for this course. I mean, we'll read a lot of different things, but we will continually come back. What would you reason? This is incredibly important. So you'll see that will certainly be one of these textbooks for the Nephites, right? At this point with Adam and Eve, did they have the brass plates? Not yet, but what did they have? Because you are on the right track, my friend. They did, which was found in the Book of Remembrance, and Elder McConkie taught us that the Book of Remembrance was simply the first set of scriptures. Does that make sense? So like the brass plates, but an earlier version, the first, right? The beginning of the Holy Scriptures, as he said. Would you tell me, how have you seen the Scriptures being the primary textbook as a blessing in your life? How has that blessed your life, that you judge all of your other learning by that standard, the standard of the standard works as complemented by living prophets? Please, because this is incredibly important.
So the scriptures they're the framework and they're the foundation for everything that our family does. And we were actually talking about this earlier too, that when you remove that, again, it's like, okay, then what do we do each day? What is our life going to be? What are our ancestors going to do? Because everything that we do with our life, when it's founded upon these principles, sets a foundation. Just like all the information that Adam and Eve got, they got it firsthand from God. So of course they had to record it. And they taught their children that, and then they taught their children, and they have this understanding and knowledge straight from God, which now is passed down through the histories that we study, and we continue to pass down through the histories, and it's the foundation of everything.
Yes. Thank you so much for that great comment. Anyone else? Please, Mr. Anderson.
Well, I remember in the Pearl of Great Price, it says that they taught their children about faith in the Lord Jesus Christ, repentance, baptism, and
Yes.
receiving the gift of the Holy Ghost. There are very few books in the world that teach those principles.
Right.
And yet they are the foundation of happiness.
Yes.
Grow is to rest your actions, your life on the reality of Christ, his perfect example, and his atoning saving power. So I'm just so happy that the scriptures continually remind you of Jesus Christ and his goodness and grace.
Yes, thank you for that. Please, Caitlin. Yes, sorry. There you go. Thank you.
Just coming from having switched, going from American Chinese to public school, I've really noticed that when I'm learning things, I'll learn it, but it kind of, sits in the back there. I don't really think about it and ponder it. But whenever I've learned something with the gospel, as the base, and I understand that I get the principles and I can apply it. When here it's just kind of numbers and it just doesn't, you can't really apply those things. And it's just not as, you can't understand it and fully integrate it into yourself.
Thank you. Thank you for that great comment. All of these things made me think a little bit about a very sweet comment that was made. Oh, was it 2 Thursdays ago now at this beautiful, was there a name for it? It was sort of the dinner before the ceiling. I'm not sure if there was a name for that, with Joseph and Karina. This is Joseph Anderson and then Karina Hansen, who I think most know, were sealed in the temple for time and all eternity. And their parents, or at least one from each, are here in this class. I was really trying to think about everything they said and take it in, think about it, and try to relate it to my life. And something that Karina said, I can remember certainly Karina saying it at least, though Joseph probably thought it too, was that when she liked Joseph and she came home from her mission and she thought about dating others, even if she thought about dating others, or even while Joseph was away before she'd gone out and thought about dating others, she ended up comparing everyone else to Joseph. That he really was a standard for her, and that, if somebody was below that standard, she realized, well, at the end of the day, I'm really looking for somebody like Joseph. At the time, it seemed like she didn't know that it was going to be Joseph, but yet that was the standard for her, and what a happy thing that she was able to find that standard in Joseph. I think we need to be very, very careful to think of this principle always in our minds in everything that we talk about in this class, because you'll see there will be lessons of what to do, lessons also of what not to do throughout American history. We are going to judge all of these dates, if you will, opportunities for learning by a standard of the scriptures, of the Word of God as taught by prophets, both ancient and modern. And I'm grateful that we can do that here. I can't tell you how grateful I am that we can do that here. And so I'm just excited for this journey. And I want to thank you so far for what we've talked about when it comes to learning about learning and this first American Christian education. As we move just to another topic, just briefly, because I think you know these things, let's just move to the Jaredite just for a moment here. Let's take a look at something that I think hopefully you reasoned, and it was part of your reasoning questions, the reason and relate that you did for the notebook assignment. This may just jog a memory or two, but I think you'll know it already. What would you reason the Jaredites knew about how to have a prosperous America? Because as they taught their children how to succeed, and also taught their children how to fail if they wanted to fail. And it has to do with you and me today as well. Did you reason a principle from Jaredites and what they taught their children about this land? Please, Emily.
They taught their children to be humble for the Lord,
Mm-hmm.
and they taught them that if they didn't do that, then they would be brought down.
I love that principle. Thank you so much for that. Would you tell me, why is humility a key that unlocks the door of learning for each one of us?
Because when we are humble, we are a lot more willing to learn things, and if we are prideful, then we sometimes think things that we can learn are below us.
Okay, thank you for that. I love that answer. Well, friends, any other principles that you may have written about in your reason and record part of your notebook assignment? What did the Jaredites know and teach their children about America? Mr. Anderson? Oh, please.
Just, I love what you have here before, and it was in the reading.
Yes.
Too, that if you serve the God of the land, who is Jesus Christ, then you'll be free.
Yes.
If you don't, then you won't. You'll be brought into captivity. And that's true on a local level, individually, and in families, and in nations. And I've just seen that myself. I follow Christ's commandments. I'm free and I'm happy. And when I do not follow Christ, I suffer the consequences, and they're not so free or so happy.
Right. Thank you for that. Thank you. If someone were to tell you choice equals freedom, what would you tell them? Linda? Oh, tell me more about that. Please, that's a wonderfully wise response. And if we could use the microphone, I'm so sorry. Thank you so much. We have many microphones.
We have freedom because we can stand up for what we think is right.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that great answer. Anyone else? Other comments? Please, Samuel.
Choice does not equal freedom, because you can have two choices and you don't want either of them.
Mm-hmm.
Freedom is the opportunity to be able to achieve your own purposes and be able to become what you want.
Okay.
But you can still have choices in
Mhm.
bondage.
Okay. Thank you for that. So not all choices make us free. Which choices do? What would the Jaredites have taught their children about that question?
Well, when you choose to obey the commandments, then you're equal because you're obeying the natural laws.
Okay. Thank you so much for that. I think this is very important. Knowing that Jesus Christ is the God of the land, knowing his commandments, his atonement, why is it that those things make us free? Because certainly you have a lot of people who talk a lot about the freedoms of America, and they see that the freedoms of America lead to, to riches. They maybe talk about security. They talk about this, that, and the other. But some people might call something other than freedom, freedom. And we need to be very clear on what freedom is. So tell me, what at the end of the day does freedom have to do ultimately, essentially, only with Jesus Christ as the God of the land? Mrs. Updike, please.
He is the atonement, is the only avenue for true freedom. And we have 2 Corinthians 17, where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty. Only He provides that pathway to keep us free. You shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. Where He is not, there is no true freedom. He is the Prince of Peace, and it's His truth and His atonement that allows us to have peace because we know truth.
Thank you so much for that answer. Please. Thank you.
Also, when we make a covenant, then God is bound by what He promises, and it's a covenant, so it's a two-way thing, or in some situations, a two-way thing. And because this is a covenant promised land, when we keep those covenants, then God is bound to bless us, because that's what He promised He would do.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you for that. Friends, what do you see, and hopefully this is a very easy question, what do you see in the America of today that might make the Jaredites, as well as hopefully you and I, a little bit worried about freedom? There's a lot we could say about this. Please.
It seems like they're
responsibility is to preserve freedom.
Mhm.
And that's going to cause an unbalanced ship.
Mhm.
It might sink.
Mhm.
That gets way too out of hand.
Thank you. Thank you for that wise comment. Caleb and then Mr. Anderson. Is that the subtle reminder to have a break? No. No, it's all right. Please, Caleb. We'll have a break very soon.
I think you have times where
Thank you, Caleb.
people who are more focused on what they're entitled to, like Mr. Anderson was saying, and confusing that with what God actually has entitled them to. So we have our God-given rights that other people that are trying to take away and exchange with things that don't want to be the right.
Thank you. Thank you for that comment. Anything else? Please.
Unfortunately, we've become a very selfish people. We don't want to take care of each other, and therefore we leave it up to the hands of government to take care of its people. There's so many things like that where we've given our power away to the government because we don't want to do the work. And that's why I said it's such a loaded question, because it's so complicated for us to get back to where we were. I don't know how we can do it.
That's the next question, just so you know. So,
Okay, and I'm not gonna go.
no, we'll talk about it. Thank you for that. Love that. Please, Mr. Anderson.
President Hinckley in his book Standing for Something said that part of the problem with America, which your question was, what do we see in America that's going south or wrong, is that we're forgetting God.
Right.
He says, and of course there are lots of reasons why that
And lots of ways to do it.
God is being cast out of the books, where public discourse, and therefore as a result, people are not remembering His commandments, and they're saying that there is no sin. To each his own, live and let live, right? It's okay what you want to believe, I'll believe what I want to believe, it's all good.
Yeah.
It's kind of moral relativism. Those things make me worry.
Yes, and it comes from a false understanding of freedom, right? Freedom isn't just being able to do whatever you want to do, because those choices most of the time lead to captivity. Yeah.
Mr. Anderson just said, pointed to a tendency to forget God.
Mm-hmm.
And even to perhaps have a godless society where people want to take off from money and things in God we trust.
Right.
There are movements to do that. When He is the center of our lives, that's when the real successes come. And I don't want to get ahead, but the other readings that we showed,
yes,
so many people had God as the center of their lives. So many educated people reading the Bible and using that as the standard.
Yes.
That's what created a more ideal society than anything that was found to be found at the time in Europe.
Yes. And that's where we'll go for our second hour. So no, that's perfect. It's a wonderful segue. I do want to ask one more question. Oh, please, we'll do Linda and Caitlin, and then I'll ask one more question, then we'll have a break, because we did start a little bit late. So, please.
I think the problem in America is we don't balance it. Because if you have you and family, then that helps you know women and sensitive to other generations in the world. And God gave us three laws, family, freedom, and pursuit of happiness. And if we don't realize
Thank you. Beautiful comment, Linda. Please, Caitlin.
One thing I've kind of noticed about all these laws that have been passed is a lot of people that believe that they have this freedom of choice, that they can make this decision, is starting to take away other people's freedom. I think that's kind of the biggest thing, is that these God given, you know,
Mhm.
freedoms. And so I think that's kind of the biggest thing that we're starting to take away other people's.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you for that. I've loved this conversation together. I want to thank you so much for your reasoning, for your relating, for your courage to share. I know this is sort of the first time we're sharing some of these things in this group. And I want you to know that I felt the Spirit today in the things that you've said. The last question is this. We know that there are some problems, right? When you take Jesus Christ out of the center of American life, you are taking the hub out of the center of a wheel, and no amount of spokes and no strength of rubber will be able to hold that wheel together when you take the hub out. And so my question is this. As we look at what Elder Cook said here in the November 2010 Ensign, there certainly are things we can do. As we read this, I would just ask you, please, what could you reason and relate you could do to try, for everything that you are worth, to put that hub back in its place as much as you are able? Elder Cook said, the moral foundation of our doctrine can be a beacon light to the world, can be a unifying force for both morality and faith in Jesus Christ. We need to protect our families and be at the forefront together with all people of goodwill in doing everything we can to preserve light, hope, and morality in our communities. What would you reason and then relate? What would you reason we could do, and then what would you relate you could do? Certainly there's much to do. All is not lost. Yes.
Well, I think one thing is just be good ourselves.
Yes. To
The
just be good ourselves.
The qualities of light, hope, and morality in ourselves, and that will spread to other people, I believe.
Yes, right. Love Linda's comment to just take it one more step with your comment, certainly. Right? Individuals create families. To have strong families, you first need strong individuals who are growing up in the right way, who are making the right choices, who are strengthening their own testimonies in their conversion, right? I mean, Rachel, you're not married now, but one day you'll be like Joseph, and it will be your reception, it'll be your sealing, it'll be your testimony meeting. Can you imagine singing that beautiful song with your family another time, that our Father has a family, it's me, right? And you start to think about that. What are you doing today? Not you is the you of all of us. What are we each doing today to become strong through Jesus Christ so that we can then build strong families centered on him? Love that. Please, Caleb. So sorry, our friend the microphone just needs to migrate. Sorry, thank you.
I think it kind of relates to base principle 6 a little bit with how to start to see yourself in other people.
Yes.
It all starts with you.
Yes.
And then, like Lindy said, it goes through the steps and affects other things, but everything has to start with you.
Thank you. Thank you for that. Please, Mr. Anderson.
Mr. Beckwith, who's the head of school here, has written a nice article in our newsletters, which he said 3 things he would invite us to do. One is to purify the inner vessel, which is sanctify yourselves, right? The second is to get educated on the issues of the day. Get educated on how to have a happy family, right? What to do. That includes a lot of scripture reading and some current events reading.
Right.
And the third is to speak up and act on that knowledge. So I like those responses.
Thank you. All wonderful. Please, Samuel.
One thing that I think we could all do better on is being happier, because we do have the gospel of Jesus Christ and we have so many blessings, and sometimes we're just so serious and caught up in trying to be good
Yes.
that we forget that our blessings, and we forget to be happy. And it talks about being a light to the world. We can't really be a light if we're sad and dreary and dullsome, and
Yes.
when other people see our joy and our happiness, they'll wonder, what is it they have? And so I think we could all work on that.
Thank you. What a powerful comment. Joy is a fruit of the Spirit. It is okay. Indeed, it's invited that we are happy people. Please.
I just, sometimes it gets really daunting to think of the day and age that we live in.
Sure.
And I feel like we're up against a brick wall. But
Yes.
at the same time, it's such an exciting period of time because these are children of light.
Yes.
These are families of light. We have been called. We have been saved for this time. And we will make the difference. And that's why I love that we're taking this class and why we're studying the things that we're studying, because it's in understanding history and God's laws and all these different things that will ultimately save them in the end. When all else fails, when everything comes tumbling down, our families will stand up together and we will be the ones to protect and preserve and save goodness.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that. And friends, as we think about all of these great comments, may I just conclude by sharing something that is near and dear to my heart. God hath not given us the spirit of fear. If you look at the current events these days and are feeling fear, may I invite you to replace that fear with the faith in Jesus Christ. That is how to find peace. That is how to find happiness and power that comes through Him. I'm so grateful for the peace that I felt as we've been together today, to know that certainly there are so many who are enjoying the best times right now, not just the terrible times that you might hear about, even though there may be terrible things that are happening. You can be as a beacon light amidst the crashing waves, and that light can shine even as the waves continue to beat upon our little lighthouse. We can continue to shine that light. And which light should we hold up? Certainly that which we have seen Christ do. He is the light of the world. We are here to shine His light, because through Him everyone can come unto the Father. And that's hopeful. And we always have that hope. And I share that in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen. Let's take a break. Please stretch your legs. Go to the bathroom if you'd like. Let's just take 5 minutes and then come back for our second half.